Hi everyone. I reviewed issue number 7, and it was just completely awful, showing how bad of a hero Riri Williams is. And this one, Bendis really stepped it up. He showed, in addition to being a terrible hero, Riri is actually a horrible person. She has all the earmarks of actually being a villain more than a hero. So we start off with, and as annoying and cringy as this is, they do the same. I got to show you what they have planned for issue 9. So again, Marvel, when they get a female hero, they can't show her fighting a villain or struggling or doing something heroic. She has to do the like, oh my, OMG, I'm like famous or whatever, with a bunch of like idiot airhead millennials screaming to have her get an autograph. To which she's, oh, of course, oh, someone's doing a selfie of her. And she has to have this stupid, like, fake modest face, like, OMG, like, autographs are like a thing or whatever. So we get in here, and last issue she had this thing where she did this real cliche millennial speak. They actually toned it down, but they still do this thing where, hey, Riri Williams here. I'm Ironheart. I'm a superhero. That's just a fact now. I can't believe it either. And people are still offering me things. So they did the same thing. She doesn't start off behind the 8 ball, like a Peter Parker or every other famous Marvel superhero. Her problem is that she's too good at things and too many people are offering her things. And people are still offering me things. Sweet offer from MIT. That's weird. They gave her an offer after she robbed them. I got this amazing offer from the Champions. And Tony Stark's mom offered me Tony Stark's actual lab to use as my own. Oh, cool. So you won't have to rob him like you robbed MIT. So then she says, Tony Stark's artificial intelligence is a program that helps me run my armor systems. We'll get into that later. So his voice rattled on, but so then she goes, but none of that matters because there was a massive explosion at the Smithsonian during this giant gala event. I felt so compelled to go there. Compelled. There's no other word to describe it. Compelled. I don't even know what's happening right here. I guess Bendis is making fun. Is it Bendis making fun of himself? Like, he's like, I'm gonna write some really Bendis-y dialogue. It's gonna be so funny. Like, what is going on? Does he want me to hate this character? So this is the part where I just realized, oh, she's not a bad character. She is a bad character. She's a bad person. So she's in Chicago years ago, and they keep saying this thing where, like, she grew up in the ghetto. Her mom's a double widow. Look at this idyllic, like, grade school. Looks like it's from it's like the one I went to in like Nebraska in the 80s. So then she goes, hi. So plot twist. I think Bendis is building up to reveal that Riri is autistic and maybe even severely autistic, or he's just a really bad writer and he doesn't know how humans work. So there she goes, hi. This is quiet time, Miss Williams. I wanted you to know that I have decided what I will be when I grow up. Then the teacher says, I don't want to hear anything out of you, Blackie. No, she goes, let's hear it. And then she goes, I'm going to be a scientist. Great. Great? That's great. No, you're supposed to say, you mean like a nurse? And then I say, and then the old woman who's not the racist that Riri really needs her to be. Why would I say that? You're supposed to tell me nursing and teaching are noble professions. And people like me don't grow up to be scientists. Why would I do that? That's what they said to the first African-American female astronaut that was along. And she told me, no, I'm going to be a scientist. And then she did it. This would have been a good time to give the astronaut's name. Then the teacher, who's a very good person, says, yes, that was a long time ago. Things were different back then, but because of people like her, a girl like you can do whatever you want, fly anywhere you want, and be anyone you want. Riri really does not like, look how bothered and confused She is, by being told that she lives in the modern, fair America, and she does not live in like this cliche, cartoon, extremely negative version of America that apparently her very bad parents and her very bad community have told her she lives in. And then she's really bothered, and then she goes, I was kind of hoping you'd tell me the opposite so I would have something to inspire me to prove me you're wrong. So this woman being an astronaut, despite facing adversities, does not inspire her. What inspires her is that her teacher is an awful person who's a racist and a sexist, and so she has to be a victim. She can't just be this woman who's not named. Sorry, I can't help you. Then she just stares at her like a complete psycho. When they do this thing, when they do the same page, or they do the same panel, that doesn't mean that it's a close-up. That means that she was doing it for a long time. Like a complete psycho. Finally, the teacher notices, and then she goes, okay, you'll never be Tony Stark. Oh, and then she's like, oh, now I have a spiteful reason to help people. Really? I'm totally going to be Tony Stark. Except for that weird facial hair. Yeah, it's called a goatee. I don't know how you grew up in Chicago and didn't see a million guys with goatees. So then we get some really fail pop culture reference where man in his 50s, Tony Stark is having, or Brian Michael Bendis is having man in his 40s, hologram, Tony Stark, recommend a 1990s one-season sitcom to Riri Williams. You waste a whole page on that. And then she lands, so there was just an explosion. This is basically like an attempt at a 9/11 that was foiled because Sharon Carter shot a pistol into the ceiling and scared everyone out. So then she lands right in the middle of all these people investigating an attack. Then they point guns at her, and she's like, "Whoa!" Mind you, she's a super genius. So then Tony Stark AI has to explain things that any normal person would explain to her. It's like, this is S.H.I.E.L.D. This is the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then she goes, hi, I'm Ironheart. I'm here to help. And then he says, like, he doesn't know where. Nick Fury says, like, that armor off now. Now you're going to see later that this is completely contradicted by something Sharon Carter says. And then she goes, just so you know, I can pretty much take away all your guns with the flick of a switch. I can. I won't, because that's not how this should go. Okay, so you just flew into a crime scene and threatened all of the law enforcement officials. To which Tony Stark says, you're doing great. Yeah, you're doing great if you want to get shot and killed. I'm here to help. You want to... So he's basically like, I'll give you the count of 3, and then he gets a call to let her in. Hi. Were you here when the bomb went off? This woman is obviously uninjured. From Riri's vantage point, she can see she's uninjured or merely just sitting down. The bomb devastated this whole room. Why would you ask if the person was there? Are you asking if she's superhuman? Hi, are you bomb-proof? Why is that even a question? But Bendis is working backwards. He wants to confirm that it was not a bomb. So he goes, it wasn't a bomb, Miss Williams. It was a person. A person went off. A bomb is anything that explodes. So if you can figure out a way to make a person explode, they are a bomb. Are you okay, Commander Carter? So then they do this other thing where they mess up the double-page spread. There's nothing in this panel that lets you hint that this is a double-page spread. The only ones that cover over are just a sliver of this panel and this one. So you basically have to look at every 2 pages to determine if they're a 2-page spread. It should be a lot more obvious, especially since this color and this color and this color are all the same color. So then she goes, my tuxedo has a personal force field in its programming. To which Riri, who loves the science, should say, oh, that's really interesting. How does it work? She goes, cool. Yeah. So then Sharon Carter says, she acts like an adult, and she says, hey, you just landed in a crime scene where people got attacked. That wasn't the best idea. Then Riri says, I'm new. Sharon says, oh, I know, that's why I'm telling you. Everyone's on edge. She basically says, like, you're an idiot. And then, do a full environmental scan of this room. Then she says, can I? That doesn't make any sense. Tony AI says, I'm already laying out the scan frame. So he's basically doing the work for her. Then we find out years ago, we find out more about how Riri is a completely awful person, most likely a sociopath. So this is the Kennedy Space Center visitor complex. So this is supposed to be cute, I think, but it just makes her look like an idiot and a sociopath. So this woman, who let's just assume is the lead tour guide or is the manager of the gift shop, Riri says, I'd like an application for an astronaut training program. This is Bendis working backwards and not like, he's like, oh, wouldn't it be so funny? And then he's like, oh, wait, this would have only been like 5 years ago. It would have been 2011. So, of course, she's like, yeah, you can go on the website. I'm there. It's unclear what the age requirement is. Then, again, Bendis has, like, done a punchline before a setup, but he still wants to do the punchline, and then he, like, kills his own punchline. He's like, the lady says, I'm sure it's right there on the site. I'm sure it is, too. And then she says, no, I read every word. How old are you, dear? 11. Oh, well, you need to have a degree. That's no problem. Then she's like, she's just being really like catty and arrogant. Said, oh yeah, that's no problem. And then you have to pass the physical. So then we see her advancement is not. So first of all, she said, oh, I want to be Tony Stark, but then I guess like NASA ain't woke enough to hire 11-year-olds, so that inspired her to go back to being Tony Stark, which she already wanted to be, which was just a random idea made out of spite. So then she goes, are you comfortable with what I'm trusting me? Why are you trusting me? So all of a sudden Riri, who came here to help them, all of a sudden does not trust them. So then they say, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been monitoring you before kindergarten. And she goes, what? You're a confirmed super genius. We have to keep an eye on you, and you know that. I didn't know how much. And then Sharon points out, you've been monitoring all world events since you were 9 years old. This is like, what does that mean? Like, she goes to like the CNN like world, like, what does that mean? Again, this is like the origin of a supervillain. I know you've been monitoring all world events since you were 9 years old. And then she says, the good news is, and then she's like, bye. You're one of the good guys. Oh my God. So then basically she's like, the Avengers didn't come, the Defenders didn't come, you showed up. The Avengers didn't show up to this? Or the Champions? Like, nobody showed up to like what was almost a 9/11. So then she's like, she goes all InfoWars. She's like, sidebar, what's her angle? Oh my God, so they just had a terror attack. So Tony AI says, they don't have enough proof to launch a retaliatory military strike against the terrorists. So she wants you to do it because they don't have enough proof. This isn't a warrant on a citizen. I don't know if you've read the history of, America. We don't need a trial to launch a bunch of missiles at a terrorist. We just do it. It's like an automatic, response. We just find whoever is kind of remotely related. It's like, oh, this guy talked to this arms dealer 3 years ago. I just bombed his whole house. That's what they do. That's like the first thing you do. And then, wow, did the colorist think Sharon Carter was Riri Williams? Look how dark she's colored. That's not even being in a dark room. So then, Lady Octopus, which I actually kind of remember because I did one of my submission packets in the 90s for like a 3-pager and I was copying. I think actually that was the official submission. Like 1 year in the 90s, if you wanted to get a job at Marvel, they'd say illustrate these 3 pages, and it was Lady Octopus and Spider-Man. So then they get an attack. So this is Super Genius's reaction to in a text. She goes, now what? Seriously, now what? After she gets punched in the face. She says she's Lady Octopus, and she goes, ugh. Lady Octopus? So then Lady Octopus, it's pretty obvious that she's there to be like a distraction. So then Riri punches her and says, boom. And then she goes, who the hell are you? And then she goes, someone with enough self-worth not to have to qualify myself with lady. Seriously, Lady Octopus? Okay, your whole life is based around spite against a guy who dedicated his life to saving people because you needed to be a victim, and your completely supportive teacher would not support you by victimizing you until you asked repeatedly and stared at her like a complete psycho. But you're bothered that Lady Octopus calls herself Lady Octopus. Then she actually does something on herself without having to be told. So she basically uses electricity to electrify the legs, and then she zaps her. This is funny. So Sharon Carter is facing the other way. Lady Octopus is here, knocked out, and she goes, on the ground now. Detach those arms immediately, or we will do it for you. Wait, what? Why are you not facing her? This is one of those things where Bendis is just so lazy. It's like he probably intended it to be facing her, but then when he sees that the artist is not having her face her, that's when you change the dialogue. Is very easy. It's a last minute thing. You just have her like talking to a SHIELD agent. You say Agent Smith, if she doesn't detach her arms, I want you to forcibly detach them. And then this next piece of dialogue would have worked. You will? Ew. So then, like, she immediately gives up the terrorist who hired her. Like, she just says her name. And then we get another flashback to Riri. So I guess Riri was having her, she was having her birthday. She doesn't celebrate birthdays because they keep doing this thing with the female heroes where they basically write them like space aliens. It's like, I don't do birthdays. It's a weird thing to say. Okay, what are you? Are you human? Like, is it a religious thing? Are you Muslim? Like, why can't you celebrate a birthday? Just have her celebrate a birthday like a person. She's already weird enough. So then, somehow, her little 10-year-old friend can get the black female astronaut on the phone, to which Riri has like an actual human emotion. So then we're back to like the terrorists are all bothered that the bombing is not being covered on the news correctly, but the bombing didn't go off correctly, so it's a much smaller story. And then here comes Riri to fight the terrorists whose bomb was easily defeated, and then because they can't the leader of SHIELD can't get authorization for a missile strike. That was a motivation to go send her here to a war zone. I keep forgetting to rip stuff on camera. So here we go. Getting better at this. Awful. What do you think?